Have you ever had a day where you sat down to be productive, opened your laptop, stared at the screen, checked your phone, grabbed a snack, watched one short video, and suddenly it's 11:47 p.m. and somehow you've done absolutely nothing? And then that voice appears. You're so lazy. Why can't you just focus? Other people manage to do it. But what if that voice is wrong? What if the problem isn't that you're lazy? What if you're just doing productivity completely wrong? Today, we're going to break down one of the biggest lies people believe about themselves, the idea that they're lazy, and why most people who think they're lazy are actually just using systems that work against their brain. Part 1, the laziness myth. Let's start with something important. Real laziness is actually very rare. Most people who call themselves lazy are overwhelmed, mentally exhausted, unclear about what to do, or stuck in poorly designed systems. But society doesn't teach us that. Instead, we're told, wake up at 5 a.m. Just have discipline. Grind harder. And if that doesn't work? Well, obviously you must be the problem. But here's the truth, motivation is not the main driver of action. Your environment, clarity, and energy are. Think about it. You can spend 3 hours scrolling on your phone without getting tired. But writing an email feels like climbing Mount Everest. Is scrolling harder than writing? Of course not. But scrolling has 3 things. 0 friction. Instant reward. No decision making. Your brain loves that combination. And when your tasks don't provide those things, your brain resists. Not because you're lazy. Because it's efficient. Part 2, your brain isn't designed for modern productivity. Your brain evolved to solve problems like finding food, avoiding danger, building shelter, maintaining social bonds. Your ancestors didn't have to deal with inboxes, deadlines, spreadsheets, 37 browser tabs open at once. So when you sit down to work on something abstract like write a 10-page report, your brain reacts like, cool. But what exactly do we do first? And if the answer isn't clear, your brain stalls. It's like giving someone instructions that say, build a house. Okay, where do we start? Foundation? Walls? Windows? Kitchen? The task is too big. And when tasks feel unclear or overwhelming, your brain chooses the easiest alternative. Which is usually checking your phone. Part 3, the real reason you procrastinate. Most procrastination comes from 3 problems. 1, the task is too vague. 2, the task feels too big. 3, the task feels emotionally uncomfortable. Let's break this down. If your to-do list says, work on project, study, get organized, your brain has no idea what that means. Compare that with, open the document, write the first messy paragraph, read page 1 and highlight key ideas. Which one feels easier? The second list. Because your brain can see the path forward. Productivity isn't about forcing yourself to work. It's about removing confusion. Part 4, a simple example from real life. Let me give you a relatable example. Imagine you want to start exercising. So you tell yourself, tomorrow I'm going to work out. Tomorrow comes. You wake up. And suddenly your brain asks, what workout? How long? Where? Do I have the clothes ready? Should I eat first? Decision after decision after decision. Your brain gets tired before you even start. So you say, I'll do it later. And later becomes next week. Now imagine a different setup. Before going to bed you prepare your workout clothes, your water bottle, a simple 10-minute routine. Now when you wake up there's no thinking required. You just start. Same person. Same motivation. Different system. Part 5, the system mistake everyone makes. Most people try to improve their lives by changing their willpower. But successful people change their environment. Instead of saying, I need to stop using my phone, they do things like keeping the phone in another room, turning off notifications, using website blockers. Instead of saying, I should read more, they place books where they can see them. On the desk. On the couch. Next to the bed. Humans follow the path of least resistance. If Netflix is easier than studying, Netflix wins. Every time. Part 6, the 2-minute rule. One powerful technique is something called the 2-minute rule. The idea is simple. If a task feels overwhelming, shrink it to something that takes 2 minutes. Instead of study for 2 hours, start with open the book. Instead of write the essay, start with write one terrible sentence. Here's the interesting psychological trick. Once you start, your brain often continues. Starting is the hardest part. Momentum does the rest. Part 7. Energy matters more than discipline. Another thing people ignore is energy. You are not a machine. If you slept 4 hours, skipped meals, and spent the entire day dealing with stress, your brain isn't going to perform like a supercomputer. That's not laziness. That's biology. Focus depends heavily on sleep, nutrition, mental rest, movement. Some people try to fix burnout by yelling at themselves to work harder. That's like fixing a dead phone battery by tapping the screen faster. It doesn't work. You need to recharge first. Part 8. The comparison trap. Another reason people think they're lazy is comparison. You see someone online saying, I wake up at 4 a.m., meditate, read 50 pages, run 10 kilometers, and launch 3 businesses before breakfast. Meanwhile, you're proud you answered 2 emails. But here's what you don't see. People share their highlight reels, not their messy reality. You don't see their exhausted days, their unfinished projects, their moments of doubt. So comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel is deeply unfair. Progress is personal. Part 9. Build momentum, not perfection. Perfectionism is another productivity killer. People think, if I can't do it perfectly, I shouldn't start. But progress doesn't come from perfect action. It comes from imperfect repetition. Writers write bad drafts. Artists sketch ugly drawings. Entrepreneurs launch imperfect ideas. Then they improve. Motion creates clarity. Waiting for clarity creates nothing. Conclusion. So the next time you catch yourself saying, I'm so lazy, pause for a moment. Ask yourself 3 questions. Is the task clear? Is the task small enough to start? Is my environment helping me or distracting me? Because most of the time, the problem isn't you. The problem is the system. And the good news about systems is this: they can be redesigned. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're just learning how to work with your brain instead of fighting against it. And once you do that, productivity becomes a lot less painful and a lot more natural. If you found this helpful and want more videos that break down psychology, productivity, and how to actually build a better life, make sure to follow the channel. Because the next video might just be the one idea that changes everything.